Author John Stott says nothing is more important for Christian discipleship than a fresh, clear, true vision of the authentic Jesus. In Colossians 1:15 to 17, Paul answers three questions about the person of Christ. Who is Jesus in relation to God? Who is Jesus in relation to creation? And who is Jesus in relation to the church? So let's look at the answers to the questions one by one. Colossians 1 verse 15 reads, He is the image of the invisible God. So Jesus is the image of the invisible God. The Bible tells us that God is spirit, which means that he is invisible. 1 Timothy 6 verse 16 reads that God lives in unapproachable light, whom no one has seen or can see. No one has ever seen God, but when Jesus came to the world, the invisible God became visible. The word translated image means a copy, an exact representation. Do you want to know what God looks like? Look at Jesus. As Hebrews 1:3 says, the Son is the radiance of God's glory and the exact representation of his being. In John 14, when Jesus was talking with his disciples about God, Philip asked him, Lord, show us the Father. That'll be enough for us. Jesus answered, Don't you know me, Philip? Even after I have been among you such a long time, anyone who has seen me has seen the Father. How can you say, Show us the Father? John 14:8 and 9. If you have seen Jesus, you have seen the Father. The second of the 10 commandments forbids us from making any images of God. We are not to make any idols or representation of God. Why? Because Jesus is the image of God. John 1:18 reads, No one has ever seen God, but God, the one and the only one, who is at the Father's side, has made him known. What is John saying here? That God, who is invisible, became visible through Jesus Christ. So that's who Jesus is in relationship to God. He's the image of the invisible God. Next, we want to see who is Jesus in relation to creation. And here we learn that Jesus is the firstborn over all creation. Colossians 1:15 to 17. He is the firstborn over all creation, for by him all things were created, things in heaven and on earth, visible and invisible, whether thrones or powers or rulers or authorities. All things were created by him and for him. He is before all things, and in him all things hold together. These are amazing words, staggering in the description of Christ and his relationship to creation. The false teachers at Colossus had a wrong view of creation. They taught that all matter was evil, whether the material world or the human body. But the Bible teaches us that all God's creation is good and that Jesus is the firstborn over all God's creation. The phrase firstborn over all creation is an important phrase to understand correctly. Firstborn doesn't mean the one who was born first. Rather, it means the one who has the right of inheritance. In fact, the firstborn was used as a title for the Messiah who would rule over and inherit God's kingdom. Psalm 89 verse 27, I will appoint him my firstborn, the most exalted of the kings of the earth. Revelation 3:14 brings up this word firstborn bill when it calls Jesus the ruler of God's creation. Knowing who Jesus is makes us understand his power and what a great price he paid to redeem us. Be blessed.